composite became, meaning how the human is developed, this particular body, gives you the secret, which I'm not sure if you've heard it or not, but Yaqub on the island of Patmos. Now, Yaqub on the island of Patmos is actually the story that Elijah Muhammad brought to create what's called now the Nation of Islam. And this story went that this being known as Yaqub, this man known as the double brain Yaqub, Yaqub is the Arabic for Jacob, why Jacob is also the word James, and James is the word Jack. Okay, so double brain Yaqub on the island of Patmos decided that he was going to create two. Okay, like now this being that I'm telling you about that was created from the word decides, why don't I create? So this is also what gives you the Cain story, because as I told you before that this being is a smith, and smith is also Tubal Cain. That's how it starts tying all in. But that this being decides, well, let me create something, let me make something, and it decides to make what we're calling man today. I believe what it's really showing is that it created what we're calling a white person today from Canaan. And this is because this being wanted to actually create a being that didn't have as much compassion as these darker beings. Because these darker beings had more of a connection with Leb, because Leb was the one who was basically the female goddess that was creating all of these, what we're calling Indians, and what we're calling dark-faced Dravidians, and what we're calling even black people, that she was creating that. So Jackal thinks, well, shit, all I need to do is invert this and create something white on an opposite spectrum, and then it'll go to war with hers. You see what I mean? And that's what it did. So this is what the genetic modification was, is that it used the same composites of the races that were already here, and then it blended those races together, but it blended out the gene of melanin, which is basically the connection to the sun, which is female. Right. So what happened is that through this process thus comes forth another being on the planet that is a lot more callous than the other beings that live on the planet. And so this is what is called the master race. Not a master race in the sense that this race is the master and greater than everyone, but a master race in the sense that it was a race created to master over everyone else, the same way a human attempts to master over a dog, or a human attempts to master over other animals, or a human attempts to even master over other humans. You see what I mean? So yes. This creates more confusion. Now, if you want to understand this from space, just meaning some space, let's clear this out here. All of this is a process of fire and water. Each time different components are being used to create more of this reproduction, so more diversity can take place, so that all of the genes that can't survive, like jealousy, hatred, because with all that, you actually won't survive over a certain period of time. You can't go into a certain wavelength. That all of that would eventually burn off or boil off, because the beings would just get wisen up. They would get tired of doing it. And that's why Sophia was associated with fire, because when you get wisdom, you start to burn off the foolishness. It's like, okay,